The moral case for full disclosure and how that should look. Now, whether it's individuals doing videos like this where they're talking at you and trying to convey a message, whether it's selling you a product for whatever reason, or whether it's just a video that is either showing you something that is portrayed in nature, something that's happened on the news, or for argument's sake, it's even some form of art that's been generated, such as TV, film, or music. Now, when you think about disclosure of information, it should give the consumer of that product, that piece of content, a bit of an idea of what's gone on behind that. Now, as a PhD student, one of the things that often has to go through the process when you're publishing any form of research, whether that's an article or some form of product, you have to disclose a certain amount of information about yourself. You have to say who's funded your research, who are you affiliated with, so the institution or organization that you've been based at, and therefore to give people a bit of a context of what your background might be based on what their work generally looks at. Equally, your own potential bias that you have. Do you lean one way or the other in terms of your thoughts and perspectives, particularly in the social sciences and humanities? That has to be said. And equally, if you're publishing your results in STEM related articles, were there any particular findings from your work that was one way or the other, and therefore you have to disclose that information? So, how large the sample was, what type of products you use, what were the limitations of your study, all of which are really valuable. And then that equally goes into who the funders of your work are and what their particular biases are. Now, admittedly, some of this can be more present and more well thought out, and equally, sometimes it can be more subtle, but generally, it's disclosed somewhere in that article or in that product info. Now, when we think about videos which we typically consume on social media, often that disclosure isn't necessarily always there. And is that right that that's the case? Whether it's a video that looks like, for argument's sake, it's happening in nature, but it might be falsified, it might be AI generated, and therefore isn't actually happening, and therefore is a false presentation of what's happening in nature or in the news. Equally, is it something that is a product that actually doesn't do what it says it does, and therefore is a problem because it's effectively snake oil? It doesn't work like it said it's supposed to, and therefore you need to be able to know that what either you've seen has been mispresented, missold, and therefore you need to have a case of more protection as a consumer. Or equally, if it's someone just trying to share a message with you, what is their motivation for that? Are they trying to convey a message because they're representing a particular group or organization? Or are they just trying to share information like I am about philosophy and the PhD experience? But a lot of the case with that is it's very circumstantial on how those individuals disclose that information. But what's your view?